From WDWNT, the worldwide leader in Disney Parks news, this is ParksCenter. Hello there, everybody. Welcome to ParksCenter, the weekly news show where we go over the top 7 stories from the past week. My name's Ben, and joining me on tonight's show, we have a wonderful cast of people. We have Allison.
Hello, everyone.
Let me actually set the camera. There we go. Try that again. We have Allison.
Hello, everyone.
We have Christopher.
Good evening. How are you?
We've got Tyler.
Hey, everyone.
And Whitney.
Hi, guys.
All right, folks, kicking off the show tonight. Let me actually start the show. We have some news about the River Country Resort. We don't really have a better name for it at this point, so I'm just going to call it the River Country Resort for now. It's going on top of the old River Country site. We've got an announcement about the group that's managing this, the Wimberly, Allison, Tong, and Goo. Yes, really, Goo is taking over River Country. How appropriate. Also referred to as WATG. It's reportedly been selected as the lead designer for this resort. They're well known for doing the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas. They've done a couple other things. They're currently working on the new tower at Disney Coronado Springs. But other than that, we really don't know much other than we suspect that this is going to be around 300 DVC rooms plus another 400 standard rooms. So what opinions do other people have about this? Because I actually have a little bit to say about this one myself, but I'll let somebody else go first.
Well, I'm just glad they're making use of the land. I gave up hope that River Country was coming back years ago, and I spent many weeks of my life there. I loved that water park, but I really didn't think after maybe 2007 that there was any chance. And if you've done any Google searching and seen images of what it looks like now, it's more depressing to me to see it completely rotting away. And we use a construction team, so hopefully this will be well done and we'll have a well-themed hotel. I just hope for maybe a little bit of a retro feel. That's all I ask.
Yeah. I'm very much hoping that they keep the theme alive here. I know that we've kind of got a little bit of River Country everywhere already, but I really want to see the River Country Hotel. Like, I don't know what they're going to do with the space. I'm sure it's going to be something good, but I have a lot of nostalgia feeling for River Country. It was my favorite park for a good chunk of my life. I remember just how relaxed the atmosphere was there, and I missed that a lot. And I would love to see a hotel with that same feel to it. I know Old Key West has that a little bit. Part of Port Orleans has that same kind of feel as well, but it's just not quite the same. And I'd love to see a hotel like that.
I suspect it'll be glorious. They worked on the Grand Floridian as well. Nothing not amazing about that property. I'm excited for it. Any excuse to go over there to get to the Wilderness Resort. I like hanging out there. That's just another reason to leave a park and go exploring.
Yeah, I guess that's something that kind of scares me about this, honestly, is that this is the design firm behind the Venetian, and that's not exactly like River Country to me. That's a bit more fancy.
I guess the Venetian and Grand Floridian aren't great examples, but both of them are incredibly well themed. And so it's not just like a cookie cutter type of firm, hopefully. I don't know exactly what we're going to get. And the reality is the Magic Kingdom area needs more hotels. I'm sure I always think, oh, if we have more hotels, maybe the prices will go down. Of course, that's not going to happen, especially not in the next 3 years. But I'm really happy to just see like land in a prime location actually being used for a purpose that is needed.
Agreed.
to take like kind of an opposite stance on it, like you sort of lose me when you say that it's a DVC club, because every time, like I'm not someone who's primarily from the States, so I'm not even able to sign up for DVC, and finding out that there's all these options that are available, but you just can't access them because you're not part of the program. It sort of takes me out of it a little bit. So when I hear that there's a new resort coming, like the Riviera or this one, I sort of go, okay, but I'm never going to be able to even set foot in it, sort of thing. But that's just
to be fair, the current rumor on the place is that it's only partially DVC. I think it was 400 standard rooms and 300 DVC, so you could still get here without having to jump through that. But you're right, there's been a big push for a lot of DVC hotels recently.
And you can still stay in a DVC property even if you're not in the DVC. So you just pay the rack rate, which is a little more expensive.
True. Moving on from here, though, to another location that's getting a hotel. Galaxy's Edge is going to be it's going to be opening up in Disneyland about a year, little over a year at this point, I believe. But unfortunately, it's going to be blocked at opening for annual pass holders. There was an announcement sent out recently. It's bragging about Pixar Pier, of course, but also talking about how Galaxy's Edge opening summer 2019, they're going to be changing over to a what's the exact wording here? Specific. This means the block of dates will apply to one or both theme parks depending on the pass type purchased. So we'll be able to block out just one of the parks now instead of both. You can go over to DCA all you want, but if you want to go get into Galaxy's Edge, you're going to have to pay for another ticket. Is this just a money grab? Is this a crowd management thing? Like what's going on with this?
Christopher, you're probably the best person to talk to about this because you're probably an AP holder out there, right?
I am, and Ben, it's absolutely crowd control. The crowds now, especially on a weekend, all summer long, are fairly unmanageable. Disney manages it better than anyone, but when you open a new land, especially a Star Wars land, you aren't going to be able to move. It's going to be, triple, quadruple what Avatar was. Pandora, sorry. And of course, Disney's not averse to making money. If they can sell you an extra ticket, but it's up to you. But they don't want tens of thousands of people descending upon Galaxy's Edge, which they're going to, but then not be able to get in a restaurant, not be able to get on a ride, not be able to even use a drinking fountain. Then they're not in the habit of trying to upset people.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. I think they'd much rather upset people and just say you can't come at all versus coming and having a bad experience. They'd rather that first exposure be a good experience.
I also think that a lot of the California AP holders are going to understand why there was so much blocked out in the beginning. And those that are really excited about it will just pay the money. I think a lot of people in California, because they live so locally, they are used to coming quite a bit more often than a lot of the Florida annual pass holders that might live in other states and just come for 2 weeks or something at a time. So I guess it's less of an issue there because people going every weekend generally.
I can stand it. I'll just wait for the summer to end and then go visit, but I probably won't be able to wait that long.
Fair enough. Moving on to yet another Galaxy's Edge story from the week. We got an announcement talking a lot about wirelessly powered robots and other devices coming in Galaxy's Edge. So Disney a while back filed a patent for some wireless power technology, and even put out a video about it, which I'm going to it's not exactly that exciting of a video from an audio perspective. But you can see kind of the wireless technology they've got here. That's just a wire loop, no battery, powering a light. You could put that inside of a ball. You could put that inside of a lightsaber. You could put that inside of anything and either power or charge your device without it having to be plugged into anything. Now, the initial use for this, we believe, is going to be powering a lot of the robots inside of the land. as well as some of the potentially some of the toys that are going to be sold with this. But it's going to be very interesting to see if this ends up moving to maybe powering your phone. Maybe you could get a device that plugs in and hitches off this wireless power and charge your phone without even having to plug it in anymore. Is this going to be the end of fuel rods? Like, what's going on here?
This is the thing that sounds probably most intriguing, because you want to be able to go to Star Wars and not have all the droids appear because their batteries have run out. So the fact that they could be able to roam around, if this is what the first application is going to be, having these roaming droids be like 100% uptime to be able to constantly be moving throughout the land sounds great. But with this public sort of power source, what's stopping people from, like, this sounds like sort of a supervillain thing. What's stopping people from harnessing it, or from Disney putting power into things they may not intend them to be?
Like a villain's going to infiltrate the park?
Yeah, since when has there been villains in Disney parks? You know, it never happens.
And they never have any problems with tech either.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's the next story. No, that's coming up.
It opens that possibility of, like, what if Disney starts charging people's phones and they don't want it to? I mean, that would be great if your phone just suddenly had full battery, but at the same time, does it seem like it might be like an invasion of someone's device without permission, sort of thing? I guess you'd have to have this kind of power cell that can accept that power to it.
You're probably right. And there are probably a lot of people who would find that invasive. I'm just not one of those people, because I'm one of those people who are like, please catalog all of my Google searches so that I can get better ads on the internet. Like, I've never heard of this designer before. I love all these clothes because they know exactly what I buy. So I'm very comfortable with that. But yeah, a lot, like, people, especially like other generations, and then certainly now, I think a lot of people don't trust the internet. Not going to trust Disney with the capability to mess with their devices.
But if they can have a device that powers like a lightsaber or some kind of augmented reality style lightsaber thing, and you don't have to worry about like a battery charge, that's going to be incredible. And that's going to be great for kids, especially.
Right. And people give up freedom for that ability.
Yeah. Speaking of power issues, though, there was a bit of an outage this week. Maybe not necessarily a power outage. I don't know all the details, but my Disney experience, yet again, has crashed and burned with this wonderful, wonderful tweet given by the official WDW Today Twitter, experiencing a temporary systems outage. There was no fast pass booking. There was no dining reservations. There was no nothing. And I forget how long this lasted. I think it was a few hours is about how long this went. Does anybody else remember this? Was anybody in the parks when this was going on?
I was at Disneyland and it didn't touch us.
Fair. Good to know that they're on a different system at least.
Yeah.
Not to sound negative, but I feel like we just talked about this on ParksCenter.
We did.
Like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago that we had this exact same problem happen, and I don't understand. Like, this can't be scheduled. This can't be planned at all, because Disney has the ability to be out of commission from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every night, really, if they wanted to, and nobody would notice. But they go out in the middle of the park day? Like, I don't know what tech they have going on, but they need to fix something. Get some redundancy or something, because that is just not acceptable downtime.
No, any downtime is not acceptable, because they have made it so that you're completely dependent on this program for everything, for your reservations, for like your itinerary for the whole day. Like, everything is planned out. So I can't imagine the chaos for the cast members and how they manage to deal with this when these things do happen.
Yeah, Ben, what if I'm trying to get into my room at 4 a.m.?
Yep. Yeah, that is also controlled by the app. So if you're trying to use the phone room keys to get into your room, you are not getting in your room. I think the Magic Bands were fine. I think they operate on their own system, but trying to use the Bluetooth open your door through your phone, that
Does anyone mind if I jump in with like some of the technical stuff that would probably go on behind with this?
oh please.
Please.
So a lot of the stuff with internet technology works with API, which is Application Program Interface, and it's how different programs relate and make calls to each other. So when you try and click on like fast passes on the device, it's going to send an API call to like the proper server or the cloud-based network that has this information. So with all of that being stored on this one app, if one thing were to go out, or if like the cloud service that they're using for that goes out, that means everything's going to go out, which also means if you're trying to update the app with something new or like a new fast pass time, or maybe you're trying to change the format of the app or something, it could possibly mean that everything goes out, because it has to, that little thing that they're putting in or updating has to work on every device, on everybody's wireless network, on every type of operating system within the device. So it does make sense why everything would go out, but it shouldn't be happening while it's a major park day.
For sure. It's really bad when your app design is like old Christmas lights. If one goes out, they all go out.
A lot of stuff works that way, though. It's just not a lot of it goes down all the time. That's all.
Yeah. Moving on. I'm kind of scared to move on almost. Digital babies. I really don't want Disney handling that after. Oh, this is just about rider swap. So Disney announced this week that they're going to be switching from the paper rider swap passes, or rider switch passes, I should say, is the term they use, from paper to digital. The reason they state is so that this can combat fraud. I suspect it would be relatively easy to create a fake fast pass that looks like this, given that these don't even list the attraction. Oh no, it does list the attraction, but it only lists it on the front in text. It doesn't have the banner across the top like the actual old fast passes used to. This has got to be trivially easy to fake and get you fast pass on any ride you want. I honestly, to get opinionated rather quickly on this, I think that this is a good idea and something they probably should have done as soon as they moved to the Magic Band system, where it's just the rider swap is essentially, okay, tap your Magic Band here and I will give you a fast pass that is valid for now. And then once they get off the ride, you can just come back, tap in with that, and move on with your life. But people on the internet seem to be upset about this, and I honestly don't understand why.
I mean, it makes sense that it should be fully integrated, but what bothers me is like, what monsters are using like baby swap as a way to like have fraud to get on rides faster? If anybody is doing that, that is terrible. You're bad people.
These are the same monsters who used to hire people who had a disability of some sort so that they could use the handicapped entrances and other accommodations that Disney provides to get on attractions faster that way too. Because I know for a fact that if you were in a wheelchair, you used to be able to get onto attractions without having to wait in nearly as long a line. And people were hiring tour guides for that purpose.
So as a mom who utilizes this a lot, it doesn't affect us as far as riding. The fraud, I think, comes from the paper tickets that they give you. And if you don't use all your paper tickets, then you're able just to hand them off to other people. And so I think that's where people were taking advantage of it. Because the parents, you didn't have to use your paper fast pass right away. You can just take it with you throughout the park and then return to the ride later. But if it was our last park day and we didn't need to ride that ride, we would just give our fast passes to somebody else in the park.
Fair.
Yeah, I've heard of that happening, but that to me, that's not fraud. It's just like this has already been planned anyway, that this is available. So I don't know why Disney wants to close this like minor loophole that really makes somebody's vacation. Because I've heard people be like, oh, and this family wasn't using any, and they gave me 3 fast passes, and like the day was so much better then. So what's the problem?
The fraud was people
If they had this when we were kids, I think I would be devastated to watch both of my parents go on a ride that I couldn't ride without me.
Fair.
Luckily, with infants, I think it's less of an issue.
Yeah.
I had a vivid imagination as a baby.
I didn't mean to interrupt before, but the fraud was that people were selling them on eBay. Go back to the article, right?
Yeah, the article is a picture from eBay.
Yeah.
Jeez. What a mess.
Because they're valid for a month, right? Isn't that what the picture shows? It's valid for 30 days.
I think it mentions in the article where they could have just made it one day. And it would have solved a lot of the problem.
Then I go back to my initial comment. They're all monsters. If you're selling or buying this on eBay, monsters.
So, quick back to the article. It says on the top it expires. Like that's not. Were those valid for a whole month?
Well, that might not have been on February 28th that they got that fast pass.
Did they not reprint these every day?
Well, they did for another 30 days from that date. So that one's February 28th. So they may have gotten theirs on January 28th, and then it was valid for a month. So that's why that one was on eBay, because you have like 2 weeks to sell them or 3 weeks, and then you just mail them off.
That explains a lot of this. All right. Moving on though from rider swap to a different kind of riding and swapping, minivans is now available to everybody. It is not just select hotels now. Everyone can get this. So if you haven't noticed this yet, Minivans is a service being offered through the Lyft app. It is done by Disney. It is Disney people employed by Disney who drive these vans. They are the neat mini colored vans that you see up top there, and they will drive you anywhere within the Disney resort. Pick you up, drop you off. It'll show up in your app, like right at the bottom.
For a fee of $25?
Yeah, it's $25 for a ride inside of the Disney property, and I think they'll take you to the airport for something like $150.
Yeah, $150. I think that's just for deluxe resorts right now. The airport rides.
Okay, I'll believe that. But now that this is open to everybody, do you think that this is going to get overused? This is going to get underused? This, like, compared to like a Lyft ride in the parks, I know from experience a Lyft can cost somewhere between $5 and $10 if you're staying on property. So paying $25 for a private van run by Disney as opposed to some random person, is this something there's a massive demand for?
I guess if it's waiting for you, say after one of the nighttime spectaculars when you can't get on a bus, if you can schedule it ahead of time, that if you're with a group of 4 or 5 people, it probably would be worth it.
Allison and I had actually talked about scheduling one on our last trip, and we never got a chance to do it. But anytime I pull up the Lyft app, there was always a van just 3 or 4 minutes away from us wherever we were. So I think like if a family with kids that really just need to go back to this resort and don't want to wait on a bus, I think this is really convenient for them.
Yeah, and occasionally things in the parks take a little bit longer than you expect, and you have a reservation somewhere else and you need to get there and you don't want to go through like the 8 or 9 changes that it might take to get from one place to the other. It makes sense. I actually didn't think that initially that there would be a huge demand for this, but I think that it's proven that there is because they keep expanding it. So people must keep using it and it must be lucrative.
Yeah.
I've never used it myself, but it sounds like it might be a consistent Disney experience. Like it'll be upheld. These vehicles, at least the driver and probably the cleanliness of the vehicles, is up to the Disney standard. In that, it's probably going to be like instead of picking up any random Uber driver or a Lyft driver, it's going to be someone who works specifically for Disney or has been like licensed to drive one of these minivans. And they're going to be the people picking you up, and it will be a lot cleaner and maybe nicer than an Uber experience would be.
They'll know exactly where they're going.
Yeah, gosh, I've had that happen before. That's enjoyable.
I had that happen on a bus in Disney World. He got lost on the way to Animal Kingdom. Yeah.
I keep looking for the Florida Zoo and I just can't find it. No, it's not a zoo. I had that happen when I was at the last WDWNT event, where the driver would. Oh no, I'm sorry. This wasn't the WDWNT event. It was the stay before that, where I was staying at a condo off property, and the guy like went right past the front of the property, and I just watched him drive straight past me on the app and just make a U-turn, come back. I was like 10 minutes late. And it's like, this is ridiculous. I would probably pay a little bit just for the insurance of having somebody not get lost. All right, and our final topic for the evening. There was a specialty parade, which doesn't happen all too often, inside of the Magic Kingdom this week, honoring Peter Pan, specifically the fact that it was the 65th anniversary of Peter Pan. So we got this rather nice looking parade, relatively short, but it just took a lot of floats and stuff from other parades that have been in the park. Took a bunch of guests who dressed up and wanted to be in the parade. Either anybody who was Disney bounding of any kind. You can see here some of the folks. Honestly, I think this is kind of cool. How especially for, like, look at that kid right there. How often are you going to be able to say I was in a parade at Disney? Like that's so neat.
This is really cute. And if you watch this whole video, the number of guests that are Disney bounding in Peter Pan outfits is kind of astonishing. This is a little bit of an obscure thing that had happened to be the anniversary, and it seems like a lot of people were aware and wanted to celebrate and went into Disney to do just that.
So the Disney Bounders were actually chosen by an Instagram account who kind of gave everyone the heads up about this a few days in advance. And so that's why there's so many people dressed up for the event.
Aha.
So a lot of them were hand chosen. Since I wasn't there, I don't know if they pulled some people off of Main Street or not. But yeah, a lot of these people knew ahead of time to Disney bound as Peter Pan.
Since I don't use the social media, I have absolutely no idea about these things. It just seemed like magic to me that they all happened to be there.
I know they announced that this was happening on the website a little early. Like I think it was like maybe a day or so. And I just expected enough people had Peter Pan Disney bounding already that they're like, yeah, sure, I can do that. Quick, Fred, go do the laundry.
And I guess just to further have insurance on it, they just went ahead and told some people ahead of time to make sure people actually showed up dressed for the parade.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like it was a little underwhelming. I felt like there could have been a little bit more to it. The Tinkerbell float, I like that one though. But I feel like it could have been a little more detailed.
Yeah, I could see that. But I think for such a minor celebration, it's just nice to see anything. Sometimes the parks don't even do anything for major park anniversaries. So
well, you don't even really see Peter out very often anyway. So that was really neat that they highlighted his movie. And they brought out everybody, the Lost Boys, Wendy Darling, Captain Hook, Smee. They were all out there. So that was nice to see something dedicated to him.
It was a cute parade, especially since they played a song that you don't hear every day, which is also nice. But you mentioned insurance before, and I'm like, I'm sure they needed to get people to agree to be or sign some kind of form that says we're not going to stand too close to a float in case we get run over. Or imagine if Disney just pulled you out of the crowd and said, "Hey, stand under this dragon float. We promise it won't happen."
Oh no!
There was probably some kind of agreement or form you had to sign. When they bring you in for Indiana Jones, they make you sign something before you're within that stunt show.
Yeah, but I think they've pulled people up in parades before and had people dancing, and the floats have been kind of close. So
yeah, they pulled my kids up to dance a couple of times in parades. Just the ones that walk along the side, they'll pull up little kids and dance with them along the curbs and stuff. I mean, you can't actually follow the parade, the floats down, But yeah, the floats are still close by as the kids are dancing.
Tyler
Especially
might be
Move It,
right,
Shake
though.
It.
This might be a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Gosh.
Maybe the number
I-
of people.
Sure.
that is a
Peter
lot of
Pan.
people and a lot of things that could go wrong. That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, folks, that is going to do it for tonight's show. Thank you for joining us. If you are looking to get some more Disney coming your way, we've got a supersized ride rehab on Hollywood Studios coming out tomorrow on the 7th.
7?
Yeah, 7th. We've got another Jeopardy game happening this coming Tuesday, the 12th at 10 p.m. So check out WDWN Tunes to watch that, or keep an eye on your YouTube feed for the video to show up there. We'll be back again next week. But if you are a WIGS member and you're watching this live, we've got a live post show coming up exclusively for you in just a moment. If you're not a WIGS member, I highly recommend you go check it out at patreon.com/WDWNT. For as little as $2 a month, you can get access to our live post shows here. You can get access to a whole bunch of other stuff, our whole podcast backlog, See You Real Late with Tom Corliss, and a whole bunch of other wonderful content, along with helping to support us. So thank you to our WIGs, and we'll be with you again in just a moment. For everybody else, I'll see you later.